Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after a 3-week absence because COVID, but COVID couldn't kill us. And you know what? We're going to start off the show hot. We got Blackjack McDowell, former Major League Baseball player. He's coming on the show now. This is the We Don't Know Sports Podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the We Don't Know Sports Podcast. This is Chad the Mark with
Mr. Brown
and
West Virginia Biggie.
You dropped the Canadian moniker?
Oh, no.
It's been 3 weeks and we haven't done a show because Mr. Brown had COVID and now you're going to change your nickname?
COVID changed my voice.
COVID changed your voice. I am upset about this. I'm just letting you know.
Well, good news is I can't smell your Canadian funk anymore.
No, it does not smell like Royal Canadian Funk. All right, so guys, we're excited to talk to you, but before we get into all the banter that we like to do, we have a special guest that's coming on the show right now. We had Blackjack McDowell, Mr. Brown. We had a conversation with him. He is, give me his resume. He's not just a guy that played in the majors. What is he?
I mean, he's three-time All-Star. 93 Cy Young Award winner.
Won a Cy Young.
That's right.
And is
AL wins leader in 93.
He is, and he tells us about why he pitched 8 complete games when he was with the Yankees.
Yeah, that was probably the funnest part of the interview for me was the fact that he was a 15-game winner, 8 complete games, and a strike-shortened season in the 94.
Yeah, and he might be a little bitter about how he might be viewed for those things.
That's right.
He should be, though. I'll give him that. Anyway, Blackjack was fun to talk to. I'm definitely looking forward. Hopefully, we get to go meet him because he's coaching in the Appalachian minor league type system. And he'll be coming, hopefully, to West Virginia sometime this summer. So we're
coaching the Sock Puppets.
The Sock Puppets. Isn't that a great name?
When he comes to West Virginia this summer, we're going to find a mound and a plate, and we're going to have Mr. Brown see if you can take him out to right field.
Mr. Brown just needs to be able to see if he can throw him a We Don't Know Sports t-shirt while he's in the third base box.
Well, we can do that.
We can do that.
But I would like to take some BP from Blackjack right now. He's 55 now.
He can't have that much heat left.
He's 55.
Either way.
Somebody needs to tear his lat, you know.
Oh, no. We don't want to talk about torn lats. He's going to talk about all that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our interview with the one and only Jack McDowell, Mr. Blackjack McDowell, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back. COVID has not killed us. We survived. You okay, Mr. Brown?
Barely, but I'm here.
We're back, and we have a guest with us this evening. And you know what? We love, dipping our toes in the water for Major League Baseball. We've had some great guests before, but really excited to talk to this gentleman because he's got a little bit of hardware with his name. He played in the majors back in the 90s and really had a stamp on it. And you know what? Probably one of the best nicknames of all time. I mean, it's simple, but it's beautiful, right?
That's right.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Blackjack McDowell to the show. Jack, how you doing, brother?
Doing all right. What's going on?
Man, we're just living the dream here in West by God, Virginia. So where are you at right now? Where are you living?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right.
We've been
North Kakalaki.
About 8 years now.
Okay. So let's just jump right into it, man. So everybody, I think that listens to our show, they're pretty good sports fans. They know baseball. They're familiar with you. So let's try to maybe go into some things they haven't heard before. And I know I didn't know this until today. Are you a Stanford man? Is that correct?
Yeah. I went to Stanford and graduated out of there because I worked hard when I was there. And when I was drafted my junior year, I was a quarter ahead. And so the next off season, I went back and knocked out a quarter, and then the next off season knocked out another quarter and got it.
See, that already kind of elevates him a little bit because it's one thing to say you went to Stanford, but he just put the stamp on the graduation here. So that says a lot right there. We went to like state schools, so we can't say much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of they're kind of all the same. Stanford sounds good, but I mean, take a look at what's going on at Harvard now. Harvard's supposed to be a great thing, but they're just putting out scary people now.
Yeah, you're right. They are. I think Stanford might too. I don't know. I don't want to begrudge your alma mater or anything, but so let's jump into going from Stanford to the majors. So tell us a little bit about like the call up. Making it to the show. What was it like going from Stanford into the show? Like, what was that process for you?
The interesting part is when I was drafted, we were in the College World Series at the time, and So, I was drafted. We didn't really do the negotiations or any of that until that was all done. School was all done. And then I didn't know whether I was going to sign or not. If you go back and look at the date, August 1st was the date that if you didn't sign before August 1st, you had to go back, and that would be, you'd go back to school, finish. I look at it all the time and wonder, because I really wanted to potentially go back because I knew that I'd be on that USA team that ended up winning the gold medal. So I kind of didn't get a gold medal because I didn't go back. Actually won the national championship again in what would have been my senior year. We won it my junior year, but then they won it Mike Messina's freshman year. He came in. And so, I look at that and I go, that's two things that I gave away to jump into the big leagues with the White Sox. And I don't know. That's one of those where you go, I wonder what if I made the right decision. And then I was like, during our career, how much easier it would have been to pitch in the National League than it was in the American League back then. And, all those things, you add up all those things, you go, I don't know. But it was cool. And I got to go to the big leagues and pitch there right away and just do what we did.
I hear you. And obviously the National League's got the pitcher going out there hitting. So that's going to help your ERA and those types of things. But looking at your stats, man, All-Star 91, 92, 93.
You were ready.
Cy Young in 93, AL wins leader in 93. So, you faced the AL, man. You kind of went out there and kicked its ass there, in the early 90s. So, what can you say?
It might have been the right decision. I understand hindsight's 2020, but let's say it worked out.
Yeah, all went okay. I didn't go to a place where I had to sit in the minor leagues for 5 years before I got called up. I went to an organization that was not the greatest at the time, and sometimes that's the way to go. We got in a situation where they're building a team. It took a few years to get up there, to get playoff ready, and that's kind of what we ended up doing.
How many years did you wear that White Sox hat?
It was 6 total minus the 30-something days that I fell short of my free agency because of the lockout in 94. So 94 was my supposed free agent year, and I ended up getting, because we didn't get those days added till later. And you go back and look, and it was just me and Kenny Rodgers were the only guys that had to play 7 years to become free agents. And add to that I was illegally traded to the Yankees. You're not allowed to do any movements like that during lockouts.
So why did they want to trade you to the Yankees? You had such a good start there for the White Sox, and I think I might have read a couple of things about they were being a little frugal at the time, maybe. So what was kind of the situation there after you had that hot start? What ended in Chicago for you?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't want to sign me, and they just weren't big fans of mine, to tell you the truth. And think about it. They took me to arbitration 3 straight years, and you're talking 17-win season, a 20-win season, a 22-win season. They take me to arbitration 3 straight years. Never offered me a deal. They actually offered me a deal in the day before what arbitration was supposed to be leading into 1994. They said, okay, here's a 4-year deal. And here is 4 different ones that they laid out in front of me and my brother. My brother was my agent. And I just didn't even look at them. I said, I don't even care what they are. Yes, I'll take any of them. You guys pick and let me know. I just want to stay here because we're getting good and it's going good. Well, the next day they got pulled. The offers got pulled, and we went to arbitration again. It was nuts. Just a weird situation.
All right, so I have a question about some former teammates. You knew Frank Thomas before knew Jennings. I don't know if you was around the year Nolan Ryan got crazy on Ventura, and then we also had a friend of the show wanted to ask you about if Ozzie Guillen was your favorite teammate ever.
I had a lot of teammates that I liked. Ozzie wasn't a huge fan of mine, to tell you the truth. And, you know, well, it was fine. We were good teammates. It was a decent clubhouse with the White Sox. You know, there was a little bit of hassle here and there. It wasn't the best clubhouse that I was in, but it was pretty solid overall.
Yeah, we had somebody specifically asked about Ozzy, so we weren't really sure why. So I guess he just wasn't a fan of yours. That we'll take that for what it's worth. The one thing I did want to ask you, I came across a story just because I was paying attention. We know LaRusse is back with the White Sox. He wasn't your manager, right?
He left the year before.
So just in light of all the stuff that kind of happened over the last few years of the Astros and whatnot, did you go on record somewhere and mention that there was maybe a potential thing with LaRusse prior to that with the White Sox? Were they doing something kind of crazy at the time?
When I got there was the cheating light out in center field, you know? And
so what exactly is that? Like, just because I'm kind of naive on this.
It was a light that popped on. If it was a breaking ball, there was a switch right on the manager's desk to do it. And the pitcher that was keeping the books was the one who was running it. You were watching the other catcher, what the signs were, and, you know, you had to do that and let the hitters know what was coming. And I remember, you know, getting to the big leagues and seeing that and go, how am I supposed to win and do good in this one? This is what's going on. This is crazy. And it stopped after that year, okay, after my first year. But the next year, you know, we come in and the A's come in early in the season, first pitch of the game, nobody on base, and they're giving like 5 or 6 signs to the pitcher, okay, which is usually, and I'm like, oh, so you know this is going on. So that's what I said. So guess who put it in? If they already know that it's here and they still think it's here, you know.
There you go.
It is typical media. Everyone blew me up. Everyone's like, oh, McDowell, no, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's this and that. Never once asked any other White Sox player about that. You know who else played on that team? Kenny Williams. Why don't we ask him? You know, why don't we ask Ozzie Guillen? Somebody else who actually was there during those years? Or ask the 20 guys that were still there with the White Sox that, you know, were there when LaRusse was there. It ain't that difficult to figure out.
So
but it's
I
just
guess
blow me up and, you know, throw me under, but no one wants to go ask anybody else to kind of prove it.
So I guess my question is like, I guess maybe it's easy to say this now because of what's happened over the last few years, but you know, why wouldn't there be more people more likely to like bring that to light? Because that seems like such a black eye that's happening right there. And you end up having to kind of die on the hill there. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Well, the thing is what do you think that the Astros a few years ago and the White Sox back when I was there are the only teams that have done this? I mean, come on. It's
of course not
left and right forever, you know, and
Right.
You just have to realize that. You have to realize it. And guess what? If you're a pitcher pitching in the game, you have to come up with a good sign system with your catcher that's really going to be hard to break down. Hey, wait a minute. How am I going to know that this is something they call? And you just do it. You got to get better at that kind of stuff. And, you know, everyone kind of did it because everyone knew what was going on in different places.
So have you ever had any of those moments where you're on the mound and you were just for certain somebody was, you know, taking a tip on your signs for any reason?
Not really, because I felt like we had a good sign system, you know, going back and forth. So it would take a while to figure out what it was, and like really studied film and really were smart. But then go ahead, you change it every inning. So how do they know going in what you're going to use that inning? And that's the way it goes. And one of the funny things that happened back in the day when they were doing it with the White Sox was it was just a center field camera shooting into the catcher. And sometimes the second base umpire would stand right in front of it and the hitters wouldn't get the call and they'd come back and be all pissed off. You know, hey, wait a minute, you know, they threw a changeup. I had no idea it was coming, you know. The umpire was standing right in front of the camera. What do you want us to do? We couldn't see it.
So it's to the point where the umpires are going to stand in front of it, but they're not going to call it out.
Yeah, well, they didn't know what was going on.
Oh, it was just by happenstance.
Yeah, that's just where they happened to be.
All right, so you ended up getting shipped off to the Yankees, and you were just there for 1 year, right?
Yeah.
All right, so how did you become? This is just Google telling us what to figure out about Mr. Jack McDowell, that you are one of the most hated Yankees of all time. How does that happen after playing there just 1 year?
Well, I saw somebody say that, and that's actually not true, because after the flip-off moment, they actually became fans more.
That sounds accurate, actually.
And that really was. There's some people that are, oh, he wasn't liked and he this and that, and and then I go, why don't you go take a look at that season, guys? I said, I dragged your butt to the playoffs for the first time in 13 years and gave up a lot of personal stats to do it. And that's what I was frustrated about, is the fans who are supposed to be such great fans in New York, not realizing that the reason I was left in games when I wasn't throwing great is because we didn't have that deep of a pitching staff. And so I just had to suck up innings and get my butt handed to me when it was getting handed to me instead of getting taken out of games. So they'd sit there and boo me, boo, 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 I'm like, hey, you know what, guys? I'm actually doing the team a favor. Figure it out. And when they booed me, the game that the White Sox were beating up on me and I had to stay in there is the game that I lost it. Because I'm like, come on, figure it out. This is a team that traded me and you're going to show me up like this. It was a little frustrating.
I think we'll back you up on there. I think how many complete games did he have that year?
I believe he had 15 wins and 8 complete games. So, I mean, that was 8 complete games, man.
That's a lot.
That's like 4 years worth for today's pitchers.
Or
more.
That might be validating your take right there.
Shortened season too. And, the part that barely anybody knows is if you go look, there's a reason why I missed my last 2 starts of the season, because I tore my lat muscle.
Ouch.
So they came back to the playoffs and just threw with a torn lat muscle just to do it, and actually did okay. But the only pitch you see is Edgar, hitting the double off us. And that's the only pitch I threw in Major League Baseball, I guess. But that's the only one you see anymore.
But you're pitching with a torn lat during the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So you're right. The pitching staff was phenomenal that year.
There was a lump back there about as big as a golf, and so every time that I cogged it would just crunch up over that thing. It didn't feel real good, And if you go back and look at that game, everyone talks about, oh yeah, they walked you off, and then I'm like, oh yeah, did you go back and look what actually happened? That was my 3rd inning after starting 2 days prior. And I actually saved 2 of Mariano Rivera's postseason runs from not scoring by coming in and striking out Edgar the first time. So,
nobody wants to remember that part.
If I would have been a closer, that would have been 2 saves I got before the blown one.
All right. So let me ask you this. I meant to kind of start off with this one because, you're synonymous with the name. How did you get the nickname Blackjack?
Well, that was just Hawk Harrelson. He was loved giving nicknames to people. And I didn't even know about it. I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about this one before, but I found out about it in Minnesota. We were stretching, getting ready for batting practice. So we were stretching in front of our dugout. Minnesota gets done with their batting practice. They're walking off the field. We're walking on the field. And Kirby Puckett walks by and he goes, Blackjack, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, Puckett, stop. And I turned to Robin Ventura and I said, what did he just call me? He just called me Blackjack. What is that? And Robin told me, I think I heard somebody say that's what they're calling you now. That's what Hawk's calling you on TV. Like, oh, okay. So I wouldn't have known because, we're in the dugout. We aren't actually watching the game. So other people are watching. So that's how I found out. The first time is Puck told me.
Hey, you know what? That's a badass nickname. I'm just going to say, and it's better when you don't make it up yourself. If you call yourself Blackjack, nobody cares. But when somebody else gives you that, you embrace it, man. It's something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I always, Hawk's whole thing was that he gave it to me because he thought I was, badass because I stared at somebody after they hit a home run, stared at him around. Like, I kind of look at it and I go, I thought it was because I was the ace of the staff and my name was Jack. So that's Blackjack, Ace and Jack, 21.
Okay.
I
like that too. See, we're learning things here. This is important. I'm not good at poker.
Oh, you're not?
I lose my ass every time I play.
That 3 to 18. Oh, yeah, you do. Blackjack.
All right, so are you able to take the credit for being the trend on when pitchers decide to start like rock and roll bands?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, there was not a ton going on, but it was interesting the way it happened, to tell you the truth. And you want to know when it happened was I played guitar from the time I was 11, 12 years old and always loved lyrics, loved all that stuff, but never really wrote a song or anything. But then the first year, and we've already talked about that I signed and went back to Stanford. Well, I went back to Stanford to do that 1 quarter in the off season, and I wasn't going to baseball practice. So what the heck was I doing all day? I didn't know what I was doing all day. So I brought my guitar with me, and I would sit there and play guitar. And then I ended up just starting messing around and writing songs. And that's when I started writing my first songs. And that's just kind of how it jumped up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know we got guys like Bronson Arroyo and Barry Zito out there like doing stuff with music, but I think you might be the trendsetter here, man. It's okay to take some credit.
Yeah, and a lot of people that haven't even heard any of the stuff that I've done, it's like when Zito came out with his one song, everyone blew up like, oh my God, this is such a great song. I'm like, oh, well, I got 6 records. You'd play it, no one would even know who it was. So, it's it. People don't know how much we actually did with the music back then.
So let's inflate our egos here a little bit. So you're able to kind of encompass anything you want here. So if you had to tell me who your musical style is, who influences you, who did you kind of grow up listening to? How did you come up with what you do today?
Well, I had older brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters are 7, 8, and 10 years older than me. And so I grew up and they were fans of the Beatles, the Who, and then Jethro Tull as it moved into the 70s and all that. So it was, a lot of the 70s rock was what I grew up listening to. Then my sister started working in the music industry. And she worked for Chrysalis Records. She worked for MCA. And so every time there was a new band, we'd hear it before anyone else did. So like the Babies and who else was that? Oh gosh, it was the Eagles, the Police. There was so many different bands that played on all that stuff, and that I got to hear before anyone else did. It was kind of fun. So I really got into music back then.
All right, who's the greatest rock and roll band of all time?
As I grew older, my favorite band, like in high school, was The Fix, and then as we moved forward, it was REM and The Replacements were 2 of my favorite bands.
Okay.
As I was a big Paul Westerberg fan, and I just loved the way he did lyrical stuff. Like he would twist terms around and things like that, which if you go look, one of the first stick figure records that we did, there's actually the second stick figure record. The first stick figure record was called Just a Thought. And then the second record was called Ape of the Kings. And that was a tip of the hat to Westerberg, because I turned around the King of the Apes to I'm the Ape of the Kings.
I was going to ask, because I saw that title on the album and I was like, man, that there's something there. That's kind of creative. I like that.
Yeah, that was my tip of the hat to Westerberg, definitely.
All right. So how many albums did Stick Finger ended up making, or Stick Figure? I'm sorry.
We did 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's see, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total records.
He's counting the gold records on the wall right now. That's what just happened.
Yeah, we had two records when we were calling ourselves The View, And then someone came to us and said that, hey, we're having a band that's called The View, and we were here a couple years before you guys started. So I said, okay, we'll change our name. And so I changed our name to Stick Figure, did all that stuff. And we did 6 records. Our last record that I recorded was in 2001. And then I don't know maybe 3, 4, 5 years later, some band called Stick Figure shows up again because people started going, oh, are you guys coming to play here? I see Stick Figures playing here. Are you guys coming? Like, no, I'm nowhere close to there. What are you talking about? And I had to look it up and go, see, we talked to them and said, hey, can we just do something? Guys, this is dumb. Why would you guys name yourself after? Now, if I try to come back with a record, what am I supposed to do? They go, oh, so what? We went and we had it, copyrighted. I said, that's not what you do in music. Copyrighted names, once you release records, they're automatically copyrighted. Okay. I can't just go and call myself the Beatles. They didn't really copyright their name, but, pretty much everyone knows who they are.
Might help them in today's world. Might help you get more downloads, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you still making music at all?
Well, I didn't really, but I did a song a few weeks ago, just basically on my computer. I did the first, which is everyone does. No one has bands anymore that actually play music together. You create everything technologically, just like they do in baseball. And so I did that to do, because I'm going to be managing the Burlington sock puppets this summer. Ha! And so I wrote the song called Sock It To 'Em. And so that's hopefully going to be the song we take the field to every day.
I saw that. I saw that on your social media. Not bad. It says, I see what you're saying, though. You got to kind of put everything together yourself there, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It was funny because an old drummer commented on the Facebook post. He's like, well, that was kind of cool drums. And I'm like, well, that's a funny thing. That was me slamming in my printer. And then it sound like a kick drum. And I said, you can just do that now. Just smack your hands on stuff and they sound like drums. So that's why there was no cymbals, guys. There's no cymbals in there.
So let me ask you about coaching. So you're talking about going into the Appalachian League here with the what's the name of the team again?
The Sock Puppets.
The Sock Puppets. So I'm fairly certain that where we live at in West Virginia, we had a single A ball club down here that got the guillotine with all the shifts in minor league baseball. But the West Virginia Power, I think they're in the same league with you guys. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Appalachian League. What all is that exactly?
Well, we'll see. It's a college league now, but with younger players. I think they have kids that are freshmen going to be sophomores and kids that are incoming freshmen that are going to show up. So it's like kind of a, pre-Cape Cod league. They want to make it something where they get to study all these guys and scout them out, to see who they feel can move forward.
So did you do much managing or coaching? I mean, obviously you mentioned, helping out with like Little League and stuff like that because you're repping the shirt today. But other than the Appy League here, any other managing or coaching you've been up to?
No, I've been coaching my whole time. I mean, I got done with my last season in 1999, and I've been coaching every year since then at every level, from T-ball all the way through pro ball. And my first round of kids, I got them all the way from T-ball all the way through high school. I was their coach. And then I was divorced, have another set of kids here, and we're, doing the role again from T-ball all the way through Little League. But in between those, I was with the Dodgers for a couple of years, managing their rookie ball team. In college, coaching college here, we started a program here at Queen's University. So I was there for 3 years coaching.
Okay. So I guess my question with all that, I'm imagining the college and hopefully with the Appy League, that stuff's great. But how do you deal with the parents when you're coaching the youngins, man? Because all I hear is horror stories from everybody. You have any issues with any of that?
I didn't have much with the youth. They let them do stuff when it was the college time, which was very weird for me because I was coaching college thinking, okay, we got adults now. And, hey, you understand, what parents saying, my kid should be playing more this night. It's like, you don't understand. I want to win more than you or your kid wants to win. I'm going to do what's right and put the right guys on the field. And, and that was a little frustrating. There's a lot of frustrating things in the college situation that I was in, which is why I walked away from it. I'm just glad to be going back out in the field. And this will be interesting because you're only with these kids for 2 months. And we don't know any of them till they show up. And we show up, we have one day, the season starts, and then we have 2 months with them. I've been making a list of notes of things that I really want them to take away from this summer. I don't want to sit there and just sit back and watch and try to work on individual stuff with guys. I want to teach them baseball because baseball is not being taught anymore. And for everyone that says, what are you talking about? Well, go watch the major leagues, how many little league base running plays, blunders, and things like that are going on. It's unreal. And even coaching in pro ball and coaching in college over the last decade, I'm realizing so much stuff that we knew when I was, 7 to 10 years old isn't even taught anymore. And it's crazy. Stuff is just not taught about the game. Everything's about mechanics and let's go work on this and that and this. Well, how about the game? How about we work on the game? That's what wins,
Everyone's worried about like exit velocity, launch angle, all that nonsense. And you watch the shift today. People don't know how to beat the shift. How about laying a bunt down the third baseline? Oh, that's right. They don't even know how to bunt anymore.
All right, this season they're actually going at it, right? They're actually bunting a heck of a lot more. Guys are staying inside fastballs and just like hitting cruddy ground balls the opposite way. Just
more than normal. More than normal.
Just play pepper and laugh and go, oh, you want to shift? Okay. I swear, I could go do that. I don't care if you're throwing 100 miles an hour. If you give me one side of the infield, I will stick the bat out there and hit a cruddy ground ball the other way.
And then walk to first.
But if you're trying to get your launch angle and your exit velocity, you ain't gonna do it.
No.
Hey, baseball dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to go full circle though? Are we going to get to a point to where hopefully, like with what you're saying, teaching these guys how to play baseball, like that's got to give some of these guys an advantage down the road? Because if you have a more well-rounded, kind of semblance of fundamentals, like because when you watch baseball now, when we talk about the majors, it's home run, strikeout, and that's it. Like the small balls kind of disappeared. There's a few teams that try. But, man, it's tough. We were talking the other day, like a guy like Greg Maddux may not even make the pros now because he doesn't have the velocity as a pitcher, even though he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's a weird thing right now that's going on. And while it's starting to show itself, they're still doing it. And I don't understand how every single organization has gone that direction. I feel like, God, give me one of these teams and let me run it, and we'll just walk away with it every single year because we'll teach the game. Yeah. And all these, and there's all this stuff that they're teaching that's exploitable. And that's going to be something that I focus on this summer too. All these dumb things that they're teaching are very exploitable if you know what the heck you're doing. So I'm going to try to steer these guys away from doing dumb stuff and try to get them to realize what they can do to win.
There was one thing we talked about earlier this week, and like you can't understate the importance of just putting the ball in play, because this year there's actually more strikeouts this year in baseball than there's hits. So you can have productive outs, but you got to put it in play to have the productive out. So it's like, a strikeout's okay now. And I think that's got to change, because so much can happen by hitting, the ball to the right side and then moving the runner to third with less than 2 outs. That's a huge thing with the sac fly.
Choice.
I mean, but they don't play like that. We need that.
Absolutely. And hey, let's do analytics here, guys. Here we go. We're going to turn into analytics nerds. So here's it. Okay, ground balls. Do pop flies and fly balls create errors, or do ground balls usually the ones that create errors? Ground balls, right? So your Gold Glover usually has like a 900 fielding percentage, which means he catches 9 and he's going to make an error on the 10th. that means every other game, maybe, and striking out. Well, let me see. When you strike out, how many times would you possibly get on base? Well, let's see if the catcher misses the third strike. It's figure it out. Hit hard ground balls. That's exit velocity mostly is important for ground balls. Get it through quicker. That's where you're going to win. Sure, a launch angle happens, but you don't create a launch angle. You do not create a launch angle. You try to swing to line drive. If you're a little bit above it, it's a hard ground ball. If you square it perfectly, it's a hard line drive. If you're this far under it, I created a launch angle on a straight swing and hit it out. They're like, but no one who swings like a line drive and swings old school hit home runs. That's weird.
We talk about how analytics is kind of taken over in a negative way, which I love analytics. Like if you want to tell me about a guy getting on base and things like that, that's great. But now when we're talking about the exit velocities, you're starting to lose me. But let me ask you this on the other rule changes. I don't know if the Appy League has any of this stuff going on. How do you feel about the stuff like the ghost runners and the shortened double headers? And I know you were always an AL guy. How do you feel about the universal DH? Just throwing those things out there to you.
I don't care about the DH thing. That's up to the players and teams and stuff if they want to do it. I know that the players union in the past have always gone against that because the older players at the end of their career get to stay in and be DHs and not have to worry about, playing and getting injuries more and stuff like that. So that's a little bit understandable. As far as the rest of the stuff, it's ridiculous. Why are we changing it? It just makes me laugh. And then they're talking about, well, we're going to move, the mound back a foot. Okay. 12 inches is this far, guys. Is every hitter have his back foot on the back line of the batter's box? No. So if you want to adjust a foot to get it a foot longer, go to the back of the box. Wait, that's all it is. It's ridiculous. That's the same thing about, the bases are going to get bigger. Okay. We're going to take away 1 foot in between the bases. There'll be more stolen bases. I'm like going, do you really think, and when I start thinking and talking about this stuff, that the guys making these rules have no clue about the actual game. Because you know what? If you take a 1 foot bigger lead, that is nothing. Nobody knows that you're taking a 1 foot bigger lead than you normally would. And guess what? You're 1 foot closer, so you should just be able to steal easy now. It's ridiculous. Like, why? Why are you trying to do all this stuff that means nothing? It's like speed up the game, speed up the game. You cannot speed up the game. The game will end when it ends. It's either going to go quickly or it's going to go long. You can do a 20-second pitch clock, and that'll knock off 5 minutes a game. Well, guess what? If I give up 2 more hits during the game, that's another 5 minutes.
That's right.
You can't do this. You cannot do that in this game. They should, and I don't know why they keep pushing, we need to speed up this game. It's too long. Like it's a terrible game. No. This is the best game out there, and there's so many reasons and ideas they can push to explain why it is the best game there is and sell it that way rather than trying to push it that, we got to speed it up because no one wants to watch it. Well, that's not true. No, people would rather, if I'm going to a doubleheader, I want to stay there for 6 hours. How much fun is that? That's like a rare, cool thing to do. But now it's, 7 innings and 7 innings.
No, you're right. The problem is marketing. It's not the game.
Yeah, and they just decided to go anti-baseball and make all these changes to try to fix what they thought was bad. But it's not bad. And once again, because they don't know the game.
I have never went to a ball game and been like, oh, man, I wish this was over earlier. And like, I swear to God.
Don't look at your watch. You watch the inning.
Absolutely. Like I never thought I want this to be over earlier. And then it's like, also, I think Rob Manfred just sits in his office and does peyote because what the hell's he thinking?
He does peyote and watch Twitter. It's
crazy. Well, It's not broke.
Sitting around the table making all these rule changes. The thing that I don't understand is how the Players Association is letting it all go through without any comeback at all. There's no slam back from the players, and I don't understand that either.
I think there's some people out there who think that if they do increase the speed of the game, somehow that's going to help revenue and things like that. But let's be honest, people are either baseball fans or they're not. And what you're doing is the more that you bastardize it and do these stupid changes, your traditional baseball fans are the ones that check out. You're not doing anything. When you tell somebody it's going to be 3 hours instead of 3 hours and 15 minutes, oh, wow, that's going to bring in a new crowd. No, what brings in a new crowd is you have it now. There's tons of young players that are phenomenal, like athletes, and like the game is so good right now. Just the amount of talent,
market that.
Yes, just like let that be the thing that gets you over. Don't screw it up.
No, absolutely, and it's the same thing. The guys running it don't understand the actual game, and that is the part that is ruining it. And there are so many people angry at Major League Baseball right now. It's unreal. Unreal.
We've got to get a GoFundMe together to get Blackjack back in the game. He's got to get his own team to manage. And
maybe we can just try to get him to replace Manfred. We'd be okay.
That'd be all right.
That'd fix everything.
I don't know. The owners never liked me, so they're not going to let me in.
Yeah, technically,
half of them's probably dead by now, so you're good.
It's new owners.
Yeah, new owners.
I know you can bring the Expos back. We kind of opine for that sometimes.
Yeah, I was telling someone the other day that I've been all over. I played in Vancouver, played in Toronto, and then the 18U Tournament USA, we were in Saskatchewan. So I've got those three covered, but never got to go to Montreal. Never seen Montreal. I heard it's a cool city, but never got to go there. So
that's right. Because let me ask you this: that kind of ties into the rules and stuff we were talking about. I'm very old school. I can't speak for Mr. Brown on this one, but I would love if interleague play didn't even exist now. How do you feel about that?
You know what? When they did it, when it started, it was just a short little 2-week thing, which is kind of cool. Now it's all over the place, and that kind of, I don't know. It's whatever. I mean, I know why they're doing it. They think, if we have two closer teams, there'll be more rivalries built up, and it'll be interesting. It's the same thing. Has that actually happened? No. So where are the analytics people analyzing their moves? They don't. They just make the moves based on what they think, but then they don't actually measure and analyze that. The same thing with pitch counts and cutting innings and this and that. Oh, wait, are injuries disappearing? No, there are more now. There's more injuries now than there ever were. Wait a minute. So this pitch count and making our starters only, paying them $30 million a year, but they only need to go 5 innings. And we have to have 4 other guys come in to finish a game for, 80% of the starts. That is smart, and that is helping. How is that helping?
It's not.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah. See, we shouldn't even ask Blackjack about his career. We should just start bitching about baseball.
Yeah.
That'd have been more fun.
Oh, goodness.
All right, so when does the Appy League start again?
It's the first week of June. I think June 3rd is our opening day.
Okay, so do you know if are you going to come down to Charleston, Annie? We'll come try to find you. I mean, I think we're in the league, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there is a team. Yeah, that you guys are in there. So yeah, well, we'll be there.
All right, we're going to show up. You'll see us wearing our "We Don't Know" sports shirts. So we'll try to track you down.
Yeah, there. I'm gonna be coaching third too, because that's like my most fun thing to do right now, is to be out there doing that. And it's one of the reasons why I kind of stayed away from pro ball, because I know they just would have targeted me as a pitching coach, and that I just love the game. And I went to Stanford as a 2-way player. I was a shortstop pitcher going there, ended up just being a pitcher. And I always have just been wanting to play and wanting to know the game overall and coach it overall, and just became more of a fan of all this other stuff rather than just the pitching end of it.
So what you're saying is you just love baseball.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Blackjack, man, we appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. We got to keep in touch. And if you guys do make that trip down here to Charleston, barring crazy COVID and stuff like that, we'll look you up when you're in town, man.
All right. Sounds good.
I got to tell you, it's great to come back after a 3-week hiatus and start with an interview like that. Mr. Brown, thank you for the get, man.
I was talking to him 3 or 4 weeks ago in Cincinnati when I was there for the
While you were at the game, right?
Reds and Cardinals game.
That was the game that Castellanos flexed.
That's
on the
right.
dude, right?
Yeah,
okay.
he was right there. Arenado's first home run as a Cardinal, 5 home runs, but like some things fell together on social media, and we started talking back and forth at the game, and it worked out. So Blackjack was on today, and it was pretty awesome.
So you get memories. You get memories of this Reds game with all the home runs, Arenado hitting a home run, Castellanos getting a suspension, and you just making friends with Jack McDowell.
Yeah, I was like talking to the guy I went with at work, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm talking to Jack McDowell." He's like, "What? Like Jack McDowell?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know,
It's just a privilege to know
the
you.
'93 Cy Young Award winner."
Chatting up Brett Boone while you're there.
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah. See, you're throwing that out there.
We did. You know what? You were gone after we did the interview. I did ask him if you ever got mistaken for Roger McDowell.
Yeah.
And if you ever got invited to Rock and Jack baseball. And he was kind of upset about that.
He didn't get to go.
You know, he said, I'm more rock and roll than anybody. I play guitar. I do all this stuff. And they take Roger McDowell to the Rock and Jack baseball. What the hell is that?
He'd have been right there.
He's right, though.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I told him all you had to do was wear a kilt. You remember that?
Yeah.
Roger McDowell wore the kilt. That's what got him on there because that's cool. Roger McDowell, though, back in the day, he was kind of a prankster. He liked the match foot and all the hot foot and all that stuff. He was that guy.
That's why he was there for the jokester.
That's it. You know, you sound like a major
I was kind of pissed when the Braves hired him as a pitching coach. I'm like, I don't want this clown leading my pitchers. Like, why are they hiring this guy? I was like, can he even be serious?
Nah, he's just lighting people's shoes on fire.
That's
what he does.
It was like the Joker. Why so serious? And then here comes McDowell coming out the tunnel.
He's not serious.
No, he's not. And he's gone now.
Yeah, I think he's on the Orioles staff now.
I don't know.
Anyway, so fellas, it's been like weeks, man. Mr. Brown, you had COVID. We've kind of hinted that earlier on the show, but how you feeling today, man?
It's way better than I was.
I mean, because of that, and then like you get over, and then like your family has and everything. So we just played it safe. We backed off for a few weeks to make sure we're all good to go. And you know what? There wasn't a lot going on, but man, we go 3 weeks without doing a show. I feel like we miss a ton of sports conversation.
Yeah, there's like 12 different directions we could go in over the last 3 weeks.
I mean, we could make this a 3-hour show.
Yeah, we're good at doing that off air.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, for those of y'all don't realize this, we've been talking for 3 hours and it's getting late.
I know.
Like, we're approaching the midnight hour.
We're only cutting some of this conversation.
We're approaching the witching hour here, and because we haven't got to talk, and we just keep talking. We've talked about wrestling and basketball, baseball, football, and these guys are here. They're wrestling nerds.
All right, so Mr. Brown specifically wanted to bring this up because I watched the AEW show this week because they had Blood and Guts, which is essentially war games, and it was a great show. I mean, it really was. People were getting a little upset about Jericho maybe falling on the king size mattress, so to speak. But, I think there was like 4 or 5 crimson masks in that match. It was a nice old school, cage match. You had people bleeding from the skull. It was great, man.
As opposed to bleeding from where?
It could be a blood capsule. You chew it on your mouth, you spit it out.
Bleeding from the skull.
Bleeding out your ass. I don't know.
That'd be better.
Hemorrhoids.
Razor blades to the forehead.
Either way, Big, you watched a little bit of it. Overall, it was a good show.
It was.
It was great.
Here's the thing. You can say what you want to about Jericho's fall. He still took a 20-foot fall.
He did, and he's like 54.
Yeah.
So, hats off, Mr. Jericho.
Hey, if you want to make fun of that fall or how he landed, if you're 54 years old and you want to go take that, you let me know on video.
You know what? We'll go ask Jack McDowell at his age if he wants to take a fall off a 20-foot cage.
Yeah, he's 55.
Yeah, so he's right there with Jericho.
I don't want to do it at 39.
No, well, you got a broken freaking neck.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yep.
So, all right. So we didn't talk about WrestleMania back when it happened. Didn't watch it. Don't care. So this is like the first time wrestling's even come back on my radar. So that's enough. I can talk about that. We had the NFL draft. So I just want to ask you out of the quarterback's take, and we had Trevor Lawrence, we got Zach Wilson, we got Trey Lance, we have your boy,
Mac Jones.
All right,
falling in the Patriots' lap.
So how are these guys going to project going forward, and is any of them going to be guaranteed year 2?
I think there's 2 spots where if you were a quarterback, you wanted to go. You wanted to go to San Francisco with that roster when it comes back healthy next year.
He's not going to play, though.
But that's fine. It's a landing spot built to succeed. The other spot built to succeed was in New England with Belichick McDaniels. If you went to one of those 2 spots as a rookie quarterback, you have a chance to succeed big time. Trevor Lawrence is an amazing talent. He'll put up good numbers, but Jacksonville is at the death trap. The Jets with Zach Wilson, there's too much expected of him already. He's coming from BYU, and he's going to the friggin' Big Apple. Give me a break.
Biggie, to follow that up, which quarterbacks in that conversation is going to start from day one?
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence will
Only
start
one?
from day one. Zach Wilson will start from day one.
How can Lawrence beat out that mullet with the spike tail?
Have you not seen the mane that Trevor Lawrence has? Like,
Yeah,
if
but
we're
he's had that mane.
this is apples and apples. Somebody's clearly got the better
but
lettuce
Minshew's got
up there.
he's coming straight out of the trailer park, man, with the spike hair and the mullet.
He looks like Billy Ray Cyrus.
You know,
Yeah, but you can't wear that belt buckle while you play.
no.
That's,
Here's
All right,
the thing,
so
you know why Trevor Lawrence starts? Because that's the only reason Urban Meyer took the job.
You're right. So Lawrence starts, and you said Wilson starts.
yeah.
Wilson
Zach
because who
Darnold.
else is Jets going to play?
Yep.
Everybody else, I think. Mac Jones.
Trey Lance
consent.
doesn't start. Jimmy starts the season there. Justin Fields in Chicago doesn't start the season opener. Mac Jones probably does not start the season opener.
He done said it's Cam Newton's
Barring
job,
injuries,
so right now.
barring injuries, all those guys you just said, I'm 100% in agreement. They're not starting week 1.
So the funny part is with Wilson and the Jets. I mean, can we argue? Can anyone sit here and be honest with me and tell me that they're not better with Darnold?
I can also sit here and tell you that the Jets have never made a good draft pick for a quarterback. So, I mean, yes, I'm not going to sit here and die on the horse and say Wilson's better than Darnold. You know, like, here's the thing. What if Darnold goes to Carolina and throws 30 touchdowns?
I think he's going to have a good year.
Like, Carolina's
He's never had
not
a player like McCaffrey as a security blanket.
Carolina's got
I
wide
think that,
receivers. They're not a bad team.
I'm big on Sam Darnold, and I've got pooped on from some of my friends who were really into football.
Not me.
Because of what he
I've
has
told
done
you
with
I
the
thought
Jets.
Darnold was okay.
Yeah, he's going to go down to Carolina. He's going to have McCaffrey. They got decent wide receivers, and you know who's running that offense? Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Or is it Tom Brady? Or is it Bill Brady? He came from LSU. He made Teddy look good in games last year. Sam Darnold's going to have a good season. The best thing to happen for him was getting out of New York. The best thing for Zach Wilson and going to New York is that Adam Gase is not his head coach.
All right. So
Well, they brought this up though on draft night. The fact that, like, why not keep Darnold and then build around the guy? But now you traded him
because the
and-
Cardinals didn't do it with Rosen, so why should we?
And now you got freaking Wilson, and you have nothing to build around the guy. So you're essentially starting over. Only it's a downgrade.
But I'll just, before Biggie answers, because I know he's got something to say, is there anybody in the world that looks at the Jets and go, you know, the Jets would be a good team if it just wasn't for Sam Darnold?
Probably not.
Nobody.
To me, the biggest upgrade the Jets could have made was that head coach, general manager position, how they ran their
What's
front
wrong with
office.
Adam Gase?
Once they went with Robert Saleh, or Salah, however you say his name, from San Francisco,
Saleh.
at that point, keep Sam Darnold because he is uber talented.
Uber talented.
Yeah.
Are you a millennial now?
Do I say super talented?
No, you said uber talented. That makes you millennial.
Oh, okay. He's super
You
talented.
piece
Edit
of-
that other crap.
All right, so
He's a true swamp monster now.
the swamp monster lives in the bayou of the Carolinas.
I'll say this. Obviously, you know, I'm a diehard Patriots fan. The one team Mac Jones could have went to where he has success as soon as he starts and fits perfectly is New England, because one thing that Belichick has always looked for with the McDaniel system, he wants a quarterback who won't make
gonna shut
mistakes.
you down. I'm going to shut you down to save face for you, okay? I'm going to do this for your benefit. It is the perfect fit. Mac Jones going to the Patriots. Now, the unfair comparison is people saying he's going to be the next Tom Brady.
That's not fair to anybody.
It's not fair to anybody.
Like if Mac Jones makes a Pro Bowl, then he's doing well.
Right, but Mac
Let's
Jones
start
coming
there.
in, letting Cam run the show starting out, and maybe they are able to tweak things and make it work with Cam, then that's great for New England. But knowing you got Mac Jones sitting there, that's the right spot you want to be in.
Yep.
All right, let's transition.
Hold on.
Oh, good.
I got one more thing about Mac Jones. So I'm sitting there watching the draft, and the memes are out there, top 5 pick, and then he's still in the draft room. He's waiting, and he's uncomfortable. He keeps falling. He keeps falling. People's making trades. And then it became clear, like when you're building up to the number 10 pick, and then slightly after that, you know what? He's falling to New England.
You knew what was happening.
You could just watch it. It was slow motion.
We were texting trying to talk him out of that. Wasn't happening. We were trying to mess with
But
it.
for God's sakes, we know the picks take long enough. They know who they're taking, but they're going to still take the full 10 minutes. It's slow motion. You know he's going to New England. It couldn't have been better. He came out that tunnel like a Vince McMahon strut.
That's what I was just going to say. You hit the nail on the head. How long does it take them to take the pick, even when they know who they're taking? When it dropped to 15, the Patriots had that thing in as quick as they could write it out.
It's no damn wonder Belichick was over there petting and stroking his dog, man.
He did have
fell
a
in my
McMahon
lap,
strut.
boys.
What kind of dog is that?
It's like a husky.
No, it's not a husky. It's
like a
like one
husky
of
to
those.
me.
It's like a husky shih tzu.
I don't know what it is. I can't think of the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't constitute thoughts.
precious. He was stroking that dog.
Stroke what?
He was stroking that dog. He was petting that dog. I'll say petting. Is that better?
Man,
The point
stroke,
is,
man.
the other meme I saw, he was treating that dog better than he ever treated any of his players.
Everybody got treated worse than that dog.
I'll say I did love that
Is
strut.
it Pomeranian? Is that what I'm
stage.
thinking of?
It was.
So this is where I want to go with quarterbacks, though, because the one item of news, like we haven't got to talk about this. I've gone through withdrawal because you jackasses haven't been able to sit down and have this conversation with you. Aaron effing Rodgers. What the hell is going on? And Mr. Brown, your Raiders are mentioned highly compatible.
To our defense, we try to text you, but it's called the ghost.
No,
mode.
we've talked about these things.
Ghost mode.
Look, it's one thing to text. It's another thing to have these conversations. With,
When you're talking A-Rod, the two teams I hear him rumored to so heavily, I don't get it, are in the same division. The Broncos and the Raiders.
They are, right? So before that, though,
He's not going to
if
the
you're the
Raiders.
Niners and you do all that to trade up and get Lance, like if you knew you could have got Rodgers. And I guess the Rams tried to make a run at Rodgers, and it didn't work out because you didn't give us enough. And that was, don't get me wrong, that was before all this became public. But
They tried to go for the run after they had Stafford?
No, before.
Oh, okay.
Before they did Stafford.
All right. I'm about to say.
That's why they settled on Stafford.
All right.
So, I mean, at least they were smart enough to try.
to get him.
What is it?
The Niners offered a ton to give him.
They did.
They were going to swap first rounds this year, give them their next 2 first-round picks and like a second.
Yeah, because the Niners know they'll probably
And
win a Super Bowl
players.
with him. I mean, honestly, I don't know if that salary cap works. But, all right, so you're down. Is it just the Broncos and Raiders? Is there anybody else?
He's not going to the Raiders.
No, but I mean, those are the only 2 teams being mentioned, right?
Yeah. Those are the only 2 I consistently hear.
So, I mean, here's my question to you. Is it one of 3 things? Is Rodgers going to another team? Is Rodgers staying in Green Bay? Is Rodgers going to retire and go do Jeopardy?
I think Rodgers ends up in the same situation Brett Favre did, where I guess he's not playing for us anymore. He's going to retire. Oh, that's okay. We'll trade him so we get something. He plays next year. He plays on a different team. And Rodgers is 37 years old. Tom Brady's 43.
Maybe
Whoever
they can
gets
trade him for Russell Wilson.
They got some. Your Raiders get him with Chucky. You guys will be in the playoffs.
I don't
at,
like it.
9 and 8.
Why?
in the
You
next
don't
few
want to
years.
sacrifice like 1 or 2 years for a potential Super Bowl?
We don't have the pieces for Super Bowl.
You have no defense for the Super
No.
Bowl. That's true.
Vegas, no, it ain't happening.
All right, what about the Broncos? Broncos have a defense.
They do.
It's not Peyton Manning 2.0. It's not.
Why not? Why can't it be?
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
If I were a Raiders fan after the first year with Chucky and Mayock, where they did real well in the draft, and last year they weren't horrible.
This year
after
they were.
this year, I'd be willing to give up all my first round picks for Aaron
Right?
Rodgers.
I mean, you saw what you got for him this year.
No, absolutely. I agree. It's pure
So
proven
you don't
commodity.
think with what you have, if you got him, you can at least get into the playoffs and make a run. You think you're the same team regardless of the
I mean, the
quarterback.
Packers.
No, I
defense
didn't
is
say
that
we're the
good.
same team. Yeah, we make the playoffs, but you make a first round exit. Who cares? What's the point?
Yeah.
Because you can sell some jerseys with that number 12.
Oh, who cares about jerseys? So, like, even if he goes to the Broncos, they have a good defense. But would you still really take Aaron Rodgers and the Broncos over Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs? No,
No. But I would definitely take Aaron Rodgers over Drew Lock.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you're making that type of move with your sights on the prize.
I know, but if you're the Broncos, what else you got?
No, yeah, that's bad.
I mean, do you really want John Elway drafting your next quarterback?
And I got Teddy Bridgewater, baby.
Yeah.
I'd rather John Elway taking the snap.
No, he took a step back. He doesn't run the draft
same. All right, so you think you're saying Rodgers is going to be traded?
Yeah, I think he plays next
Mr.
year.
Brown,
for a
where's
different
Rodgers
team.
end up?
I'm gonna say Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. Yeah. I'm saying he's staying with the Packers, and the reason why I say that is because we all have different opinions, which is great. This is the type of entertainment our audience craves. Right. But anyway, I'm saying he stays with the Packers because this is the same song and dance that Aaron Rodgers does every offseason. It's always something. He's always mad at a GM. He's always mad at the ownership. And then he shuts up and he plays.
Well, you're probably right because someone just offered him a lifetime supply of cheese.
I will say this.
You didn't see that?
I did.
I'm not on the Aaron Rodgers doesn't have help bandwagon. You got a top 5 wide receiver, if not the best in the league, a top 10 running back, a top 5 offensive line when he's healthy. He's got players around him.
They just don't draft him in the first round.
Let's be honest. It all comes down to drafting Jordan Love. That's the
thing.
That was it. That was the stick in the claw.
Packers were ready for this, but they were ready for this in 2022.
Yes. And so if you're the Packers, though, if you really believed in that direction, like, don't you just move on now?
I would.
I mean,
dude, you sell high. You just want MVP. Take all them picks from the Niners.
Let me get 6 draft picks.
Why wouldn't they have done that?
Yeah.
Take it now.
I mean,
you're going to wait a year. You're not going to get any of that. Your franchise going to go into the dumpster.
Well, so then what does that say? Does that say that they've seen enough out of Jordan Love to say, maybe made a mistake?
Yeah.
That's exactly
we just don't want to admit it yet.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the next coming of Aaron Rodgers / Brett Favre in there, then you're going to do what you got to do. But that's not what's happening.
Is this in any way, shape, or form where the Packers are like a family? The fans own the team. They have a general manager in the front office.
They're frugal.
You don't have a Jerry Jones or a Bobby Kraft.
Is that really what you want?
What we're doing?
I like how you throw Bob Kraft and Jerry Jones in the same conversation. Why not just mention Dan Snyder too?
Let's throw in Al Davis.
Just the zombie Al Davis.
Yes.
The greatness of the Raiders.
Just throw it deep.
Reigns. It's done. We'll see what happens, right? There's still a lot of time. So June 1st is like the deadline to see what gets moved here.
My favorite thing that happened this draft is that the Raiders still love boys from West Virginia. I'll leave it at that.
They do. Your Raiders do like Mountaineers.
No, they got 4 Mountaineers on the defense now.
That's it. That's like half their starting defense.
Yeah. No wonder they suck.
Exactly. Because, the Big 12 is known for defense.
No wonder they can't win the big game.
These are the same guys that Patrick Mahomes carved up back in the day.
Sorry, Stills. I know you're on my Facebook. I take it back.
No, he's going to be – you know what? He wasn't drafted. We didn't say he got drafted.
That's true. He was free agent signing.
It's crazy he didn't get drafted, though.
Yeah.
That's all right. Most people listening are probably like, who are they talking about?
He was going to be a 3rd round pick, 4th round at the latest, and then
he just fell off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. All right. We can go all night because we miss each other. We just got sports to talk about. We're not even going to cover any more baseball, but I do want to ask you this because the NBA playoffs are about to start. And the 2 teams that are considered the favorites are the Los Angeles Lakers and the the Brooklyn Nets. Are these guys, either of these teams, do they got a chance because they're both dealing with the same thing? They have chemistry issues. Everybody's hurt and not playing.
Yeah.
Are either of the 2 going to make it to the finals?
I'm still on my Nets as long as they're healthy in the playoffs. The 3 players they have fit together more easily than what the Lakers have.
When's Harden coming back?
Doesn't matter. Mr. Brown, I'm cutting you off right now. Biggie, would you like to make any type of bet that the Lakers and Nets both don't make the finals?
Both don't?
Both?
I'm telling you, both are not making the finals.
Oh, I'm taking one of the 2.
I'm taking the bet.
What are we betting?
Bottle of Beam
bottle
versus
of Beam, and you can get me a 12-pack of something nice.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I like it better with the spicy ramen.
I can't do the spicy ramen anymore.
Hey, I'm growing some hot peppers.
Are you?
Yeah.
We should make Biggie eat the spicy ramen.
I'd probably die.
Nah,
Here's
Mr. Brown.
All right, so here's the thing: the loser buys the winner the home wrecker.
The home wrecker.
You eat as much as you can of it.
Nah, I like the spicy ramen better because I've had to do that before.
I ate half a home wrecker.
It's got this angry chicken on the package.
Anyway.
All right, so you guys are both saying at least one of them is going to make the finals?
I think one of them will.
No, both of them are not.
Who's coming out of East? The Bucks.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to be the Nets.
One of the two will be in there.
No, it can't.
If not both.
They're both. I'm telling you right now, the Nets, and I think your high school adolescent son, Biggie, told us earlier that without James Harden, they're barely 500.
True.
And I'm just saying you can't. The playoff games are different.
Harden's just checking all the strip clubs in town. He'll be ready when the playoffs
He
roll
might
around.
be, but this ain't Houston, baby. He's got to get his head in the game. And the thing is, playoff basketball is different. You might be 500 when he's not playing during the regular season, but you can't. We look. All I'm going to say is LeBron. He should know better. He saw this happen in Miami when he went there. They thought they could just throw it together and they'd win. What happened? Mm-hmm. They didn't, did they? They lost.
They won a couple.
Here's the thing with LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah.
They're a half game ahead of Portland right now for the 7th spot.
The 7th spot. You're telling me the guy that's competing for the 6th or 7th spot's going to win the
There's
West?
a really good chance.
I didn't like the West.
A
I like the
play-in
Nets.
game with the
You're banking the Nets.
yes.
I got you.
with the Warriors. The Nets are making the finals though, so I'm good on that.
The problem with the Nets, like I that's the one that scares me more than the Lakers. The Lakers, I think, are dumpster.
West
fire.
is wide open.
The East, I don't know. Like, are the Bucks going to get over the hump? Are the surging Knicks going to do something
The
surprising?
Bucks are trending.
Well,
What about Philly?
here's the thing.
Doc Rivers
you know
will
what I
screw
like
that.
to
We
say
know that.
about
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the best at taking what should be great.
Right.
and making
So
it good.
I
That's
have
not
more
happening. The Bucks head coach is on the firing line. I just saw that report yesterday. If they don't make at least the conference finals, he's gone. So he feels the pressure. You know who doesn't feel the pressure? James Harden, because he lives and dies for the pressure.
I'm with you. I
Kevin
agree.
Durant.
I agree that there's more of an opportunity for the Nets. I'm with you there. But
I don't think that the Lakers make it to the conference finals as they.
I'm just on May the 6th, May the 7th, whenever you listen to this show, I'm telling you that neither the Lakers or the Nets make the finals.
All right, Spicy Roman, bring it on.
I'll get my wheelbarrow so I can carry my balls around while you guys sit there and hide behind the facade of the ESPN talking heads and you just ride their picks. While I go out on a limb and say something different. So thank you for letting me be
give
different.
me one team from each conference that's in the finals then. You're so sure these two aren't making it? Tell me who is.
I will go with the I got two in the West. I don't know why. Because they were hot in the bubble last year. Phoenix is somebody I'm keeping an eye on, and Utah. Denver, I think without Jamal Murray, I don't think they can quite make it.
You're smoking crack now. I was with you with Phoenix, and then you went Utah and Denver. No.
No.
Okay,
No. You're not listening to me. I'm saying Denver is not one I'm taking because Jamal Murray is hurt. That's what I was saying.
They went like 11-2 since Jamal Murray went down.
I know, but it's regular season. We'll see what happens because when you have a team that plays together a while, then they get the playoffs. We'll see. Out of the East. Like, give me the Bucks, man. Like, eventually they got to do it. Like, you can only go through the fire so many times. Like, you can't always lose in the second round.
So the Bucks are like the Eagles in the early 2000s. You can only make it to so many championship games before you finally make it to the Super Bowl.
Andy Reid did make it to the Super Bowl in Philly, right?
True.
It's his time. It's going to happen. What do you want me to take, the freaking Hornets?
No, as long as you don't take the Sixers, we're all right.
You got to take the defending champs, the Heat.
The Heat.
What's wrong with you?
The Heat are a fun team, but that was a
Miami
fun story
Vice.
last year. I just can't do the jerseys.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
It's Vice City, baby. At least the San Andreas Clippers jerseys are a little better.
No, it's bad.
Anyway, see, this is the stuff we miss. We don't get to talk every week, so we have to just condense all this stuff down. We didn't get to talk about like baseball ejections or who's hot and who's doing good and how the Tigers are the only team that sucks, and everybody else is at least playing halfway decent, right?
Yep.
You got anything you want to add on baseball to close out the show?
I don't want to go homer mode, but as of yesterday, the two hottest teams in the bigs was the Giants in the NL and the Athletics in the AL.
Yeah, so
Battle of the Bay.
Love, man.
Battle of the Bay, leading both leagues. I think the Cardinals took the Giants spot in the NL, but you got the point.
I just want people to know, if you haven't followed baseball, the Athletics started 0-6 and they're in first place.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mr. Brown, who's the pitcher for the Braves who's showing up? Shohei Ohtani.
He's on my fantasy team.
Last 2 starts.
I don't get credit for his offense on my fantasy team.
He had a home run, and then he had a grand slam.
A grand slam.
He secured his last 2 victories on the mound with his own bat.
I should count at least his 2 wins.
Here's the crazy part, though. Ron Washington, the third base coach, he does a lot of drills in spring training. He was so bad hitting in spring training, he couldn't even hit soft toss. So he goes from not hitting soft toss to now he's hitting grand slams.
You're good at what you do, man.
This is the first time the Braves have hit grand slams in back-to-back games since Eddie Perez and Ryan Klesko.
Ryan Klesko, baby.
Damn.
That's how we
long time.
We're going old school,
and
fellas.
the pitcher now.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is fantastic.
I mean, a lot can happen. Baseball's still doing its thing, and Mike Trout is the last player that's hitting 400.
Where's he at right now? Is he like 420 still?
Something like that.
I mean, he's up there pretty high.
Ohtani's got 9 home runs.
He does.
The Angels released Pujols today.
They did. So where is Pudgels?
A lot of moves.
Is Pudgels going to have a Is Pudgels going to have a farewell tour with the Cardinals?
That's what I was curious. I was talking.
It'd be good to see.
Just put him out there every now and then for a pinch hit.
No, he'd be a good bench bat for sure.
A bench bat.
You're still playing
occasional
freaking
first
Carpenter
base.
over there. Why not can't play Pujols too?
Yeah. Maybe that's what he needs, more garbage time hitting against the Reds. Maybe go back to MVP status.
They got
only
Paul
against the bullpen.
Goldschmidt at first base, though.
Yeah.
They don't need Pudgels.
Yeah. Well, you got to think interleague play. Maybe he could be the DH. Who knows?
You have a lot of interleague play now. That's just still out there.
Is he opposed to being like a Pablo Sandoval and just being the primary pinch hitter off the bench now?
I mean, let's be honest. He is
could be
48
too
years
prideful.
old. How much do you have left at 48?
Yeah.
He's like Julio Franco from back in the day where he went from being like 38 to 49.
He just needs to have that back elbow up when he swings. That'll help him out, like Julio used to do.
So
Nobody can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know nobody can see that. The Angels got a lot of moving parts. You got the Yankees, who started out, they had the worst record in baseball forever, but now they're a game over 500. The Yankees are waking up.
They're stabilizing.
The Yankees are waking up at the same time that the Dodgers
The Dodgers are 2 games over 500, and you know what? The Padres have not taken advantage of this yet.
They haven't taken advantage of it, but guess who has? Our boy Zach Ford, San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
Amazing. First place.
So lots going on right now. It's crazy.
I don't know if our listeners get that excited for baseball like we do.
Yeah.
They should.
I feel like we could talk 4 hours of just baseball.
We could.
I know I could.
We could just make it a baseball podcast for you idiots out there.
Nah. We got to mix it up.
Yeah, we do, because we like all sports. That's the thing. Like, even though
we don't know all sports equally.
We'll leave it at that. I think we've talked enough. You know what? We'll come back better prepared. And you know what? We may not have a great interview like Blackjack McDowell that takes up a large portion of the show, but you know, we'll have time to kind of reset. It was nice to get to know you guys again. It feels
like it's been forever. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm just glad to be here. Is that fair enough?
It's fair enough.
Okay. So we'll come back next week. We'll have some fun. We're going to have a guest. I don't know who it is yet, but damn it, we're going to find somebody.
We'll get somebody.
And we're going to talk more sports. And we got baseball season in full swing. The NFL offseason is going to keep heating up. We have NBA playoffs on the horizon. And I don't know. You want to talk about hockey, Biggie?
Yeah, we're going to talk some hockey.
You're full of
forward.
shit.
Dude, we all have beards. We must talk hockey.
Oh, he's going to talk about playoff beards again, isn't he? Mm-hmm. All right.
Spoiler alert.
I got that
Before
on
you
the
wrap
system.
up, Chad, I enjoy doing this. Good to be back with you fellas.
Yeah, I miss you guys. We'll just leave it at that. So we'll be back next week. We'll do it again because nobody's getting COVID. We've already been through that. So anyway, this has been the We Don't Know Sports podcast. We appreciate you giving us a chance to enter your eardrums and all that good stuff. But make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll see you same time next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you then.